Have you ever pictured what it would be like when you got old? Some of you may be younger that are watching this. Have you ever really thought about it, what it would be like when you get old? What you're gonna look like, what your life is gonna be like? Have you ever really given it much thought? I know when I was young, I didn't really think about it. I mean, to be honest with you, I actually didn't think I was gonna live to be old. I'll be real. I really didn't. I had a lot of I had serious health problems when I was a young child. Then I had some other health problems in my 20s. And I honestly didn't think I'd ever get old. So I really didn't have a picture in my head. But I knew things that I didn't want to have happen when I got old. Okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that today and how I really deal positively with aging at age 69. So the things that I didn't think about really was, like what would be wrong with me physically, if I was able to get around, if my mind was working, things like that. And honestly, like I said, I didn't really give it a lot of thought, but I never expected to be this age or older. But I have to say, I've been pleasantly surprised. I have. Of course, I laid some of the groundwork for myself. So let me just say a couple things you want to avoid before you start getting old. Okay. One thing is don't drink a lot. Now, I'm not saying don't drink at all. I'm just saying don't drink a lot and don't smoke. I find that those two things seem to age people the fastest. I haven't done either of those things. And I run into people all the time that say to me, they say, wow, you look like you're doing pretty good for your age. And even though I'm overweight, which if I wasn't overweight, I'd be doing really good for my age. But, uh, but they say to me, wow, you seem to be doing really good. And even a doctor that I went to just in the last few years said to me, you're doing a lot better than most other people your age. So I credit a lot of that to not drinking and not smoking. So that's two things you can do right off the bat that will help you in the aging process. Now, some of aging is genetic. You're going to get issues and things based on what's in your family. So is there a lot you can do to prevent that? Probably not really. But the other thing I would say, and I wish I had done more of this when I was young, is walking, doing exercise just consistently. And not like intensive exercise necessarily, but I wish I had been moving more. Now, I went through phases of my life where I did do a lot of walking. Like in my late 30s, early 40s, I walked a lot. But then I went through whole periods where I really wasn't walking. So I wish, in retrospect, that's something I wish I could go back and change. I think my weight would have stayed at least a little bit lower if I had done that. And so I think there are things you can do really positively. So there are some things about aging that you're going to be able to maybe prevent to some degree. And there's some things you aren't going to be able to prevent. And there's some things you're not even going to think about. I've talked about this in my videos before, that the things you don't even think about will just come out of the blue and get you at some point in time. So my point of that is, why worry about things? Because usually it's the thing you don't even worry about that's going to happen. So I have found that to be true in life. Absolutely. But what are the things that I do now at my age that I'm at to really facilitate the aging process? And I mean, not just physically, but mentally, because a lot of it is mental. A lot of it is your attitude. It's your attitude towards aging that will make a huge difference. And I don't mean living in la la land and sticking your head in the sand. Okay. I have a neighbor that is a chain smoker and an alcoholic, and she talks about how healthy she is while she's hacking up a lung. Now, that's just being in denial. I don't think that's, reality. So I think you have to be real about it. I'm all about being real. But I think you have to think as positively as you can about where you're at. So I'll give you some examples of things I do on a regular basis that I know help my mood. Okay. One of them is when I wake up in the morning, and even when I go to bed at night, usually, I'm grateful. I wake up and I go, I'm grateful I have another day. Thank you for, letting me live and enjoy another day. You know, I was today at the supermarket and I heard a checker say the most wonderful thing. She asked a lady how she was doing, and she said, "Well, I'm here." And the checker goes, "Well, you're breathing, you're smiling, and you're talking." And I think that's a good thing. And it's true. Like, you just have to break it down to like the component parts, you know? Like, if you can get up out of bed unassisted, okay, you're doing pretty good. If you can walk unassisted and you're in your 70s or 80s, I think you're doing pretty good. So celebrate the things you can still do and enjoy those. You know, I love to walk. Like I said, I wish I had walked more in earlier in my life, but I do love to walk now. And but I'm kind of weird about it. I don't know if any of you can identify with this, but I'm one of those walkers that I like to have a destination in mind. Like, there has to be a purpose for my walk. Now, I don't always have a purpose. Sometimes I just enjoy the walk. But I prefer it when there's a purpose, like I'm going to walk to Walmart, or I'm going to walk to the bank, or I'm going to walk to the library, and then, or I'm going to take the bus somewhere and then I'm going to walk home. Like, I like to have a purpose. There has to be. So I'll give you an example. Today I did that. Today I had to go out and do some errands, and I did take the bus over to the bank. And then I walked over to Walmart, and then I walked from Walmart over to the Starbucks, which is near the Safeway. And I walked over there, and I probably walked about a mile and a half total today, but it was all in purpose of doing errands and stuff. And then I sat and had a green tea at Starbucks, and, you know, and then I took the bus home. So the thing is, could I have walked probably further? Yeah, I could have, but I worked it into a whole plan. Like, I actually made a plan for how I was going to work walking in to my day. And I often do that. And sometimes I walk with a friend, and when I do that, we just walk, you know, we'll just designate a certain area and then we'll walk like a mile and a half or so. So the thing is that I like to have a purpose. Like, I need to go to the store for something. Why don't I just walk there? Or I need to go to the post office. Why don't I just walk there? So I do things like that. It kind of gives me more motivation to do these things, and it really, really helps. So that's another thing I do, is that, you know, find what motivates you, and, you know, build a routine around that that involves especially movement if you can. Now, I realize not everybody's able to walk, especially as they get older and stuff like that, and you might have to do other types of activity or exercise. But for me, I don't know how long I'll be able to walk. I don't know if I'll be still walking at 80 or 90. I don't know if I'm going to live that long. But the point is, I'm going to walk as long as I can, so that I know that if I ever reach a point in my life I can't walk, then at least I will have gotten my gusto out of it. You know, I would have done what I could for all those years. So I usually walk now 5 or 6 days a week. And usually I take at least one day where I don't walk at all. But I walk 5 or 6 days a week, pretty, and even in the winter, even in the summer, doesn't matter. The only time I don't walk is if there's actually snow on the streets or the ground, and I'm not going to risk slipping on that. But otherwise, I walk. Another thing I believe in is to keep learning. You know, if your mind, you know, we just talked about walking, which is good for your body and your mind, but the thing I really enjoy is still learning. I still can learn. So one of the things, I'll give you an example that I started doing recently, is I'm hoping to at least, I used to be fluent in French. I'm no longer fluent, but when I was in the Peace Corps years ago, I was fluent in French. And I would like to go back and spend some time in France, like not just for a visit, but I mean for a visit, but a longer visit, like be able to go and like rent an apartment for a month and be able to stay in one place. And in service of that goal, in preparation for that goal, I've started relearning French. And so I'm using this free language app on my phone, and I do my French exercises every day. That's really good for my mind. It really, and actually, I was surprised because I've lost so much French over the years. I mean, the last time I used French, it was over 20 years ago when I went to Paris, and I haven't even probably used French at all since then. So I'm amazed. But, you know, once you're fluent, it does come back really fast. And so when I was using this language app, I was surprised that I tested at intermediate level still. I was like, wow, I didn't think I'd even be there, but I am. Of course, now it's challenging because there's things I still, I've either forgotten or never learned that I'm having to relearn. But this is a goal of mine. So from now until whenever I end up being able to go over and stay in France, I am relearning French. So I'm a big, and as you know, those of you who've been watching my channel, I also play music, and that's always an ongoing learning process. I'm having to learn new chords or new songs or, whatever. So that I think is also what keeps your mind going and your purpose going when you get older. You have to have something that challenges you mentally. Don't just sit in front of the TV or the computer and zone out every day for hours a day. I love watching YouTube, I love watching movies, but I don't do it all the time. I make sure I mix up my day, basically. So, I was thinking about the challenges of getting older, and I was thinking that one of the things that may be helpful to talk about is what happens on your best days and what happens on your worst days. Because it is normal to get discouraged by aging. Let me say that again. It is normal to get discouraged by aging. It is not a positive process in many respects. It's only going to get more debilitating in some way as you get older. That's just a fact. So, on my worst days, I'll talk about that one first, and then I'll talk about my best days. On my worst days, do I get down about aging? Yeah, I do. But it's only like once in a while that I get like that. And you know what? I allow myself that. I allow myself to be discouraged about it. I allow myself to be frustrated by it. I allow myself to feel sad about it because it is a loss as you get older and you're losing not only your youth, but you're losing your body function in some respects. You're losing your mental function in some respect. And so it is a grieving process, not like intensive grief when someone is sick or dies or something like that, but it is a grieving process, a very slow one, but it is there. So what would I say about that? Allow yourself to grieve when you need to. Just don't get stuck in it. Don't get stuck in that place. Allow yourself to have, I call them gray days. I call them gray days when I just feel kind of down about, wow, my time's running out. The thing that gets me the most is realizing my time is running out. To realize that I've talked about this in other videos, I only have a set number of years and I'm running out of time. Because, of course, none of us knows when our expiration date is, right? We don't know that. And so we're playing a guessing game. We don't know if we have 1 year or 5 years or 10 years or 20 years. We have no clue. So the best you can do is hope for the best, but live your life like you're on borrowed time too. I mean, do the things that you can that are important to you before, don't put them off another 10 years. Do them as soon as you can. That's what I would say. So the on my best days, oh man, I just enjoy what I've got. I do. There are days that I feel better at 69 than I felt at 30. I'll be real with you because remember, I had some health problems in my 20s that went into my early 30s. And there were health problems I had that I don't have anymore. It's like a miracle to me. So there are days, not every day, but there are days I feel as good as I did when I was 30 years old, which is incredible to me. And I keep trying to, I'm on an ongoing process to continue to lose weight, which I think will make me even feel better and better. Am I going to have setbacks along the way? Sure. We all do. Things are going to happen. Illness is going to come out of the woodwork. But I try to focus on the fact of, yes, this is what I can still do. This is what I can still aim for. And I make that my goal. And so on my best days, I'm focused on that. I'm focused on purpose, motivation. This is what I can still do. And then I just go with that. Now, before I wrap this up today, I want to mention that I'm doing a different kind of lighting here. And I kind of like it. I tried this for my other channel and I just thought, I like not having the big bright lights on me. And so this is kind of the muted mood lighting of it. Let me know how you like this in the comments below. I'd appreciate it. Or not. If you don't like it, let me know that. So yeah, so I would say this because I've witnessed a lot of people who have problems getting older. In other words, it bums them out, freaks them out. They don't deal well with it and they turn into crabby old angry people. Okay? Don't do that. Please don't do that. Embrace what you still have. Embrace what you still have and enjoy that for what it is. There a lot of things that I don't have in my life that I wish I did? Yeah, of course. But I don't let that destroy the moment and destroy that I'm still alive. I still have air in my lungs. I can still speak and talk and think and walk. I can still do those things. Yay. I celebrate that. And I encourage you all to do the same. I hope that you do. We'll I'll be touching base periodically. Every year I'll probably on this channel do a life update of this is how I'm dealing with 70. This is how I'm dealing with 71, whatever. I'm sure it'll all change somewhat as the years go by, but I'm just enjoying now. And I hope all of you do as well. So until next time, be well, be kind, take care of yourselves. Bye.